I am so excited to introduce to you live and in studio in Vancouver, Wendy Klein from Brisbane, Australia. Wendy, it is so amazing to have you here. And you have become an international award-winning photographer. You're traveling all around the world. You're hosting workshops everywhere. And now we have you in the studio where we are going to be able to learn your secrets and get some gold nuggets from you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. It's wonderful to be here, and hopefully I can share some of my secrets of how I do my long exposures and using my filters, and also the 4-step system that you actually have taught.
Well, let's start by just showing a couple of photos that you have taken. And what you specialize in is streaking the clouds and long exposure. So taking water that's maybe got a rippled surface on it and smoothing it out with a long exposure like this one. If you look at the water, it's just absolutely dead calm. And then also streaking the clouds. If you look at this photo on my screen, you can see that you've got the clouds that are moving from the distant horizon towards the camera, which creates those leading lines that viewers just love. And finally, this third one of Aurora Borealis, which of course takes a long exposure. So the first question I have for you is regarding sunsets, because it seems like all your sunsets are just like 10 out of 10. And whenever people go out looking for a sunset, often we get clouds. So the first question is, how do you know when you're going to be able to get a sunset on any given day? How do you know that, okay, this is the day I need to go to the photo location because there's going to be a sunset?
Yeah, well, I follow the cloud throughout the day, and often sometimes, it just disappears. But I then go to my apps, and I have several apps that I check. And do you want me to name what apps they are?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I actually go to one called YR, and that's worldwide, and that will give you hour by hour, and it'll also give you the percentage of the clouds. So that's one I use. I use Windy as well. It also shows you where the cloud is and the area that you want to go to. So that's another good app. And I also use Clear Outside, and I use AccuWeather. They're my main ones. And there is another one called Alpenglow, but it's not always accurate. It'll tell you whether it's going to be a good, fair, poor sunset or sunrise.
So what are you looking for in terms of the height of the cloud that would indicate whether or not there will be a sunset?
Yep. So I'm looking always for medium cloud and high cloud. So and roughly percentages sort of from 30 to 80% in that range. And if you know you're going to get that, you're going to get really good cloud, and you're going to be guaranteed of a good, lovely, vivid sunset.
So if the apps are telling you that it's going to be low cloud that evening, is that an indication that there is most likely not going to be a sunset?
Correct, because the sun's blocked with the low cloud.
Sun is blocked on the horizon.
So I just stay home.
Yeah. And sometimes that's wise, although there are those, those times where...
There is those times, and often I will say I'm going for a sunrise in the morning because it's looking good, and I'll get up a couple of times during the night and I'll check my apps and, it's changed. So stay in bed.
So if there is going to be a sunset, let's say this photo that's on my screen here, this isn't necessarily a sunset photo, but we do have streaking clouds. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us what is basically your method for streaking the clouds? How do you do it?
I'm using ND filters. And so then, I use a grad filter to start with, and then I calculate from the grad filter whatever my shutter speed is showing me. And then I know how long to set the ND filter. But then depending on the type of cloud that I get is whether I choose a 6-stop or a 10-stop.
Right. So let's just hold right there. So we're talking about ND filters, which is an abbreviation for a neutral density filter.
Correct.
And it's really just a dark piece of glass that goes over the lens of the camera.
Yes.
And you're kind of tricking the camera into thinking that it's darker than it actually is, kind of like putting on sunglasses.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And so when you trick the camera into thinking that it's darker than it really is, that means that you can have a very long shutter speed.
Yes.
So really the whole key to this is a long shutter speed. How long of a shutter speed do you extend out to?
My average is 3 minutes. I sometimes do 5 minutes, but on an average it's 3 minutes.
And so with 3 minutes, even if with the naked eye, you're not really seeing that the clouds are moving, but in that time distance of 3 minutes, they're actually moving
They are.
quite a bit.
Yes, yeah. And I will get to a location and I will just stare at the clouds. I'll put my hands up like this and just stare and just see. And people will say, the clouds aren't moving. And they'll say, what are you doing? I said, yes, they are. They're moving. So, and then I gauge by that. So whether I have to go longer to actually capture the long exposure to get the streaky look.
Right. Yeah. And there are times where the clouds are coming directly towards the camera.
Yeah.
And is that the look that you're often going for?
That's the look I'm going for, but you don't always get it, of course. But I've been very lucky that a lot of times I do get that. But there's also two types of cloud that I look for, and that's the cirrus cloud, which is the light sort of, they're not fluffy. That's the other ones. That's the cumulus clouds. But the cirrus ones are sort of, how can you explain it? They're light and they're thin.
Yeah, wispy.
And that's the word I'm looking for, wispy.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas the other cumulus clouds, they look more, they're sort of like cotton wool sort of effect, and they sort of look like a cauliflower. So they're quite good too.
Right. So this photo that's on my screen here is a great example of that. You have the perfect direction of the clouds. It's almost like those streaking clouds are pointing towards the location of the sunset and the tree, which is really the main subject in this photo. And is that something that just happened by chance, or did you position yourself so that the clouds would be coming towards you?
I positioned myself. I can get right around that tree to shoot from any direction that I like. But that was because of the way the clouds were, was why I positioned myself that way.
So when you're in a place, you're in a location, and let's just say the sun is setting, just like in this photo we see on my screen right now. The sun is setting, the clouds are streaking, you've got the color in the sky, there's no one else around. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel on cloud nine.
Yeah.
I think I've said this to you before. I do a little dance and I'm really happy, and I know I'm going to get the effect that I'm after.
Does it do something for your soul?
Oh, it does. It makes me want to get out there and just keep doing photos like that. But yeah. So
you got into photography late in life, and you retired after a 46-year career in nursing. I have a photo on my screen here that I found.
Oh my goodness, where did you get that from? That's so funny.
Yeah, that was on your Facebook feed.
Oh, you're full of surprises, Jim.
Yeah. So that must be you when you started your nursing career.
Yeah, me and my mum.
And your mom.
My mum is the main picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're on the left.
On the left.
And when did you start your nursing career?
When I was 16, 17.
When you're 16, 17. And you
now
worked as
my age away.
So you worked as a nurse for 46 years, and it was right near the end of your nursing career that you picked up a camera for the first time?
Correct.
So you haven't been doing this for your entire life?
No. Since 2016 when I bought my first camera.
2016, you bought your first camera, and since then you've gone on to win so many international awards for your landscape photos. You're hosting workshops all around the world. You're traveling practically more than full time. How did you learn landscape photography so well and so fast?
I guess I started off with having lessons with other professional photographers. And then just got out there and practiced the whole time. Yeah, challenged myself each time, and I couldn't wait to get home from a nursing shift, dash into town and do a night shot. And even if I went back to the same location, it was just, okay, what can I do better from the last one? What can I learn from the other one? What mistakes did I make? And so I just put myself out there to practice as much as I could. Yeah.
Okay. So here at Photography Academy, we teach a 4-step system. And step 1 of that system is the research and the planning that goes into just taking one single photo. So how important is research and planning for you?
Very important, especially when I travel. I need to research and find the best spots. I don't like going to a location and going in blindly, especially if I'm going for a sunrise. I like to suss out the area before I get there, if that's possible. I know on this last trip just a few weeks ago, it wasn't possible, but yes, I went in blindly. But normally I like to go and have a look at all the different locations and see exactly what I like and where I'm going to stand.
Right. So you mentioned neutral density filters, and that's the dark piece of glass that goes over the lens of the camera that gives you long exposure. And generally there are kind of two big categories of these filters. You can get them as square pieces of glass or round that screw on or clasp onto the end with a magnet. Which type do you use?
I've got both. I do prefer the square ones. I just find the magnetic ones give a bit of vignetting more so than my square ones, which don't seem to do that. I guess it's probably because I've always started and we're creatures of habit. It's what you get used to. The other thing with magnetic ones is that they don't come with a grad filter, and I know that's very debatable. You can do it in post, but I'm very much get it right in camera, and it saves a lot of work in post. But now since Nissi Filters have now put out an adapter where you can put a grad filter on top of your magnetic filters.
Nice.
But the only disadvantage to that is you've already got the magnetic ones on, so you can't get your correct calculation. Because normally you put the grad on with the square filters and do your calculation from that so you know how long to expose for with your neutral density, whereas with the magnetic ones, it's a bit of guesswork.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the one area you mentioned, calculations, and no one really wants to do any calculations. They just, we all just want to be told what the answer is and what we should do.
Yeah.
But there is this one aspect of long exposure photography where you have to know how long should that shutter speed be to get a correctly exposed photo.
Yeah.
And if there was one simple way to discover how long that shutter speed should be, what's the easiest tool to calculating?
Okay, because I'm using Nissi Filters, I use the Nissi Filter app. So it tells you just put in whatever your shutter speed is once you've put your grad filter on, and then that will tell you whether it's a 60-second, 120-second, or 180-second, however long, and then that's what you go by. You can just push the button, or you can just set it in camera. Like my camera with the Z7 II or the Z8, I can go 30 seconds. I don't need remotes anymore because I can go 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, right up to 15 minutes in camera.
Nice.
2-second delay, no remotes anymore. So that works perfectly for me.
Nice. No remotes anymore.
No.
So one less little piece of gear that you need to have. Yeah, that's nice. So what you're saying is you use the Nissi Filters app, of which there are many different apps, but you use the Nissi Filters app. You input the level of darkness of your neutral density filter. So like, is it a 6-stop or is it a 10-stop? And then you input your aperture value.
Yes.
And then your ISO.
No, you don't have to put your aperture and you don't have to put your ISO. It's just based on your shutter speed.
Just based on the shutter speed. So you tell it what you want, and then it tells you what you're...
So if I've correctly exposed and it's saying something like 1/10 of a second, I then put that into the Nissi app where it says shutter speed 1/10, and it'll tell you exactly how long with a 10-stop, or you choose whichever stop you're using, and it'll tell you exactly how long you're going to go for.
Okay, so you said something there that was really important. You said when I correctly expose. So in other words, you set up the camera so that without the filter, it will be a correctly exposed photo. To start with.
Yes.
And then it tells you what your...
it'll tell me what my exposure is.
Your aperture.
Speed. Yep. And then I put the grad on, and then I have to redo the calculations to get it spot on again. And then it's from when I put the grad on is what I calculate for when I put the 6-stop in or whether I put the 10-stop ND in.
Right. So you just came back from a trip in the Rockies.
Yes.
And after the Rockies, you were in Alaska.
Correct.
You are about to hop on a plane, I think tomorrow. To go to Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was there kind of a point when you realized, hey, this could be a full-time career in my retirement after nursing?
Yes. Well, I was doing workshops before I retired, just on my days off, like short ones, 3 days. And so then it just got busier and busier, and I thought this is what I want to do. So I have never really missed nursing because it's just got so busy. My calendar for next year is completely full, and I've also got bookings in now for 27.
Amazing. So, amazing. You've been a member of Photography Academy since the beginning, I think since 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Could you have imagined back then what you would be doing now by teaching workshops and traveling all around the world and winning international photo contests?
No, I never ever thought of that at all. I thought, it's just something that I'm interested in, and it just sort of snowballed. And and I love traveling, and photography is my life. It's my passion, and that's what I want to do. So making the most of it while I can. Yeah.
What would be your advice to someone who is kind of just starting out and they're just struggling and they're not happy with their photos? All their photos just look amateur. They look like tourist snapshots. And they look at your photos and they say, wow, I want to be able to take photos like that. What's your advice to that person?
It's just practice. Get out there and practice. And like I met up with a Vancouver photographer this morning, and she said, I just want to be like you when I retire. She says, what can I do to do that? Yeah.
And what did you say?
I said, it's practice. Get out there and practice and challenge yourself each time. And, practice makes perfect. And so that's what you just got to do.
Okay. So we have a question from Taryn, and he is asking, hi, Wendy, I have a Nisi filter set with rectangular glass filters and a holder that fits my wide angle lens, which is a Sigma 14 to 24. Is there an adapter to then get I just lost my scroll. My screen is not wide enough, I think.
Adapter to then get the same set to fit on my Sony 24 to 240 lens.
Right.
Or do I have to buy a new set, which is so expensive? I've looked online but can't quite figure out what I'm looking at the right thing. Yes, he can get an adapter to fit that lens. So he's a 72 millimeter, so he would need to get a 72 millimeter adapter.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that those adapters are very inexpensive. Just the adapters,
yes, exactly.
So that you can put the same glass on a different lens typically.
And yes, Taryn, so that should be something you can do. And I don't know whether I should tell a secret, Taryn, but Taryn has booked a one-on-one with me in the Faroe Islands next year in August. So.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Really looking forward to that. So
looking forward to seeing his photos and yours from that trip. The Faroe Islands are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I've never been there, but anyway, it's going to be quite
really
good.
Nice comment that just came in here from Kathleen. Hi, Wendy. We learned so much from you in Brisbane, from Kathleen and Darcy, and they must be joining us from their home in Alberta. And I'm just looking to see. Yeah. Okay, so Randy is asking if we can demonstrate this on camera. So we won't be doing a live demonstration today, but in Photography Academy Prime, Chris Collicott and myself did extensive demonstrations on everything to do with neutral density filters, including just the opaque ones and also the graduated neutral density filters. And we went down to the water and smoothed out the water. So take a look inside the classroom, inside Photography Academy Prime, and you will see all of that content.
Just on that note, Tim, there was also the masterclass we did together that's got everything on me live doing and demonstrating how as well. So that's an option for people.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask Darren in the chat if you could drop in a link to Wendy's course. So Wendy and I made a course on how to streak the clouds. And it's Wendy Klein's, I'm trying to remember the name of it, masterclass on cloud streaking. So Wendy has a masterclass and it's available on Photography Academy Prime's website. So Darren will drop a link to that course inside the chat. So this photo that's on my screen right now, we've got a boat in the water, and I really like photos like this because they are just so still and calming, and there's one clear main subject. The viewer never has to guess what they're supposed to look at. And tell us about this photo. Where is this?
This is on the Sunshine Coast, about an hour and a half from my place, and I had done just down the road, there was a dead tree, and then I saw the colour and I thought, no, I want to change location. So I quickly went to this spot because I like to just don't stand in the one spot when I'm shooting. I like to get as many compositions as I can. So then you've got a variety of photos to be able to publish and edit. So this one, I saw this boat and I thought, and the clouds were looking great. It's in the water, and it's really a challenge to do a long exposure with a boat on the water.
Absolutely, because the
So-
boat gets blurry.
The boat gets blurry, and if you look really closely, the boat is not quite tack sharp, but for anyone just looking at it, it's okay. I have sold this, and it hangs in a main entrance in an apartment building. So I went out to the water and stuck my tripod really hard into the sand so it doesn't move. And so I waited for the water to settle, and I'm thinking, hurry up, settle. The clouds are there. I want to capture the colour. And so that was the end result. Yeah.
Nice. Really beautiful. You know, you've been traveling nonstop and you're still going more and more and more. How do you have the energy?
This is a question everyone says. They call me the Energizer Bunny. I don't know. I guess probably from my nursing years, it probably stems back from that, you know, night shift and then, you know, a few hours sleep and then you're back on an afternoon shift. And so I guess I function on just a minimal amount of sleep. But
okay, well, that's a gift. I wish I had that gift. I have another one I want to ask you about. It's this row of camels that are on a beach. Where is this? And obviously, this is not a photo where you could have used long exposure because you have moving subjects that would have been streaking.
Yeah, correct. This is in the state of New South Wales, which is the state below where I live, in a place called Berrubi Beach. And behind that is another place where there's a whole heap of sand dunes. They call it Tin City, which is a fabulous place to go to as well. They do camel rides at sunset. So I went down onto the beach and watched them. So I sort of got myself into position, and I was using a 24-120 lens to get this. And I had to actually run ahead of them to try and get this shot. And I could see the colour in the sky. And this was the outcome, which I was quite happy with.
It's a beautiful photo. Absolutely beautiful. And I wouldn't have known that this is Australia. You know, it has such an African look to it because of the camels.
There is a place in Western Australia where they have the camel rides, which is well known, up near the Kimberleys in Broome.
Right.
Is it Broome? I think it's Broome. And so everyone sort of thinks it's from over there, but it's not. It's in New South Wales.
Right. Now, this one here has a very Mediterranean look. It is also not the Mediterranean because we talked about this photo before. Tell us about this one and how you took it, because look how smooth and non-textured the ocean water is.
Yeah, this is in New South Wales, in Sydney, one of the beaches in Sydney, Coogee Beach. And it was a little bit overcast, but at sunrise, a little bit, as you can see in the middle of the photo on the horizon, the sun come through. So I took the gamble to do a long exposure, and that was the result of it.
And there were no people?
Well, there was, but as one got out, because there was people swimming, I was lucky enough that no one else got in.
Well, if you were doing a really long exposure, like 2 minutes, it almost doesn't even matter if someone walks through the frame.
No, exactly. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people get mixed up with. They say, oh, that person's walking. I said, it doesn't matter. They're not going to show. If they keep walking, they're not going to show in your long exposure.
That's right. Unless they're holding a bright light in their hand.
Yes, correct. Then you'll get the bright red light all through the photo. Yeah.
Here's another really beautiful one where we have very calm water with leading lines that are the reflections from these dead trees in the water. And then we've got the streaking clouds, beautiful sunset colors. Where's this?
This is not far from my place. It's at a dam called Mugra Dam, and it's full of dead trees. And and I was just lucky enough to be there at sunset when the clouds were looking good. I had planned it that way, of course. And and it just, that's the end result. So.
Right. So Diana is asking, how do you get the foreground the right exposure and the sky is not blown out? So the sky is not overexposed. So are you using graduated neutral density filters quite a lot?
Yes, I am. Yeah,
right.
I always use a graduated, whether it's a medium or a soft. If it's really, really bright, I'll use the medium.
Right. And for people who don't know what a graduated neutral density filter is, it is another piece of glass that goes over the lens of your camera where the bottom part of that piece of glass is basically clear.
Correct.
And then graduating up into getting darker and darker. So what the effect that has is that the ground or the foreground will not be darkened, but the sky will be darkened.
Yes, because you're bringing down the exposure on the bright sky.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to use a grad filter. And, as I said before, a lot of people like to just do it in post and not use it. But I'm one that's still a bit old school that likes to get it right in camera.
Right. And Steph is asking, do you use a circular polarizing filter with your neutral density filters?
The answer to that is no, because you only use a polarizer really to cut the glare on water. And like, for example, I was shooting with one of the Vancouver photographers last night, and he said, should I take this off my camera? I says, what are you referring to? He said, my polarizer. I said, you're using a polarizer and it's nighttime? And he said, yes. I said, let me ask you a question. Why haven't you got sunglasses on right now? He says, oh, I get your point. So, no, my question is, you don't need a circular. Well, it's debatable. I don't use it because I'm using a neutral density and I'm using a grad filter. So I don't need a polarizer. And the thing is, I find if you're using a polarizer, if you don't have that set correctly, then you put your neutral density and your grad filters on, you can't see anymore what your polarizer is doing. So then when you get your photos and you look at them on the computer, oh, you've got a big blue spot there because of your polarizer. That's so hard to fix, nearly impossible to fix in post. So I don't use, when I'm shooting with the neutral density or a grad filter, I will use a polarizer on a waterfall. Yeah, to cut the glare. Right. Yeah, but not when I'm taking my long exposure shots. You don't need it.
Okay. Dave McCready is asking, can you describe your editing process? So basically, what are the big, broad stroke steps that you do?
I used to use Lightroom, but now I'm using Photoshop and I use luminosity masks. So that works on your lights, your mediums, and your darks. So I'm a big fan of that now. And
so you process the brightest part of the image separately than the darkest part of the image?
Yes, and you're not getting the pixels, or sometimes if you've got a really dark area, by using luminosity masks, that's getting rid of all that. It does it naturally. So I find it's just so much better. And actually, if you go onto my website and you go onto my blogs, you will actually see a section there on luminosity masks. You'll see a photo that I took in Japan a couple of years ago, and it'll show the raw. And then before I really knew much about editing, before I went into Photoshop, I then edited it. And then I was told by another professional, take that photo down. It's absolutely horrible. And I was a bit devastated because I thought, oh, wow, I love this photo. But now when I look back, I can understand why. And then since I've learnt luminosity masks, I re-edited that using luminosity masks. And go and have a look, because you'll be blown away with what luminosity masks did from the raw that you see to the one that I've used the luminosity masks with. So that's what I use. And then I just use colour balance and selective colour. So I'm working on that all the time. And then the good thing with luminosity masks is that I can just sort of choose whichever area, and go around and work on that particular area. I get asked to edit people's photos, and they'll send me photos to CC privately. And then when I use it, they said, how did you get the shadows to look like there's no shadows and dark spots? That's because I use the luminosity masks.
Nice.
But for most people in prime, it's probably a little bit advanced, but maybe down the track, there might be a session on luminosity masks. I'm sure maybe you use them.
Sounds like a great session coming up with Tim Shields and Chris Collicott.
I think so. And it's something that it's not easy to learn. It took me a little while. And then one day I just dedicated myself. My husband was away for the day, stayed in my PJs all day and think, I'm going to master this. And so I spent all day just practicing and going over and over until I mastered it. And it's been the best thing for my editing. But, everybody's different. Everyone edits differently. It's your own artwork. So
yes, exactly. Yeah. What is your website?
My website's Wendy Klein _photography. No, that's Instagram, sorry. Wendy Klein Photography.
Wendy Klein Photography. Oh, .photography.
I think it's .photography.
Okay, I'm just typing that in right now. We'll see if I can type and talk at the same time. There we are, Wendy Klein .photography. And this is Wendy's website. It looks beautiful. So if people want to get in touch with you, they can contact you.
My email address is on there.
Right. Okay. And yeah, I'm just seeing some absolutely beautiful photos that you've also written some blog posts here as well.
If you scroll down, Tim, you'll see that one on luminosity masks. You might just like to briefly show them that one.
And that's lower down.
Under the blogs.
Oh, under the blogs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got such a beautiful photo. I have more that I want to talk to you about here, but yeah, so people now know where to take a look and we will find it there. But I want to keep going with some of these photos that we have selected already. This one here is just a beautiful one with where the streaking clouds absolutely make the photo. I'm not so sure that that tree on its own would be a really beautiful photo subject on its own without that amazing sunset and the streaking clouds.
Yeah, that's out west, probably about 5 hours west of my place. It was on private property. I was teaching it was really an astro workshop that I was teaching down the road from this property. Driving past, I saw this, we call it a bottle tree. A bit similar to a boab tree, but this is a bottle tree. And so I went and asked the local owner on this property if I could come in and do a sunset, and also we did astro above it. So she let us in to do that, and I've been there a couple of times now when I've done workshops, and that was the sky we got at sunset. The only thing, I wish that it was matching colour on the left-hand side there, where the blue sky is, but it was still
nothing you can do about that.
There's nothing you can do about it, and yeah, I was quite happy with that.
Yeah, and I love all these ones with the streaking clouds. Here's another one where it looks like these are deciduous trees in the wintertime, so it looks like there are no leaves on them anymore. So on their own, I would never think that this is a beautiful photo subject. But with this sky, which isn't even really a sunset, and the streaking clouds all creating these leading lines that are basically pointing right down towards the tree line. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, this was taken on Kangaroo Island, which is a fabulous island if you ever come to Australia, Tim. And Kangaroo Island got hit with huge fires caused by lightning, and it nearly burnt out the whole island. And they were the dead trees from the fires. That's why they were black. They're not deciduous. And driving along, and I saw the clouds, and they were really nice. And I saw these burnt trees, and I thought, stop the car, we have to get out and we have to take this photo. I very rarely do I do daytime shots, but this one just was waiting to be taken, and that was the end result. And I think I posted it actually on Prime this morning as just a photo, but yeah, that was about a 90-second with a 16 stop. I used a 10 and a 6 stop to get that photo.
What has photography done for your life personally? Would you have traveled as much as you do if it were not for landscape photography?
My husband and I had done a fair bit of travelling before I started into photography, but of course now that's just escalated big time, and I'm travelling nearly all the time. It's really changed my life. It's just sort of, photography is my passion. It's my life. So.
Has it helped you find purpose in your life? Has it helped you stay fit?
Well, I can't say fit anymore because since I've had my 2 knee replacements and one a couple of months back, I've put a fair bit of weight on. So before that, yes, I was quite fit and I used to hike a lot to get photos, but now that's not so easy to do. So I tend to find easier spots. and the thing is, even on my workshops, the clients are sort of my age or a bit older because they're retired people and they've got the money to pay to go on workshops. And a lot of my clients just like to get out of the car, walk a little bit and shoot. They don't like to hike.
And you offer one-on-one workshops?
I offer one-on-one, and then when I do group ones, it's usually 2, no more than 3.
Wow. Nice. Tell us about this one. This is a beach with some old dock piers coming up out of the sand. So simple. Such a nice minimalist photo.
Yeah, this is in South Australia, another great spot in Australia to photograph, so many different spots there. This is at Mona Beach, and they're not actually sticks. They're actually posts to stop vehicles. Any vehicle, doesn't matter whether it's 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, whatever, front-wheel drive, I think, is that what you call it? You can drive on this beach. And they put these posts here so you can't go any further. So then when I saw these, I thought, this would make a great spot for a photo.
Yes.
So simple, but it worked.
Yeah, really beautiful.
Yeah.
There's another couple that I want to ask you about. So you've got one here in the Canadian Rocky Mountains, and
Yeah,
this is
that's
Bow
Bow
Lake.
Lake.
Yep, really beautiful spot, easy to get to,
Yeah.
like a 2-minute walk from the parking lot.
Yeah.
And you were there during the wintertime to get this, and you have a beautiful sunset. Sunrise, which is even better because it usually means that there will be very few photographers
Exactly.
getting in the way.
The only problem was when I was there that morning, there was a lot of skiers. And there was ski marks all over the ground. And it took me a long time to get rid of them. But that was before AI came in. But now AI would do it very, very quickly. So I just felt it needed cleaning up. So that's why I removed all the footprints. Yeah. But it ended up being a nice sunrise. I briefly called there just a couple of weeks ago, but it was during the day and there was 7 or 8 of us, and a lot of the main group didn't particularly like Bow Lake. It was sleeting and snowy and grey and overcast and windy, so they didn't see it.
I find that Bow Lake is an underrated lake for landscape photography, where everyone is gravitating towards Moraine and Lake Louise. This lake gets forgotten a fair bit. And if you just go down the lakeside of 300-400 meters from this little bridge, there's a beautiful view of that mountain. And you can get some amazing reflections.
It is. Yeah. And one of our members on Prime, Taryn, he got a beautiful photo there. I think he's posted it on Prime. So look that up. And he got a beautiful sunrise there. And the mountain looks fabulous.
Nice. There's another one I want to ask you about, and it's this lake. Now, this is in Australia, and I think you have photographed this lake many, 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 many times. It's almost your flagship location. What is this lake called?
This is called Wyaralong Dam.
Yep. Okay, so it's like a man-made lake because there's a dam?
Yes,
that must have killed some natural trees that were there.
Yes,
and now these trees are under the water, and they just look so interesting.
Yeah, there's so many of them, and it's beautiful of a morning. And especially in the wintertime, you get the fog and the mist and everything coming up.
Yeah, just a really beautiful spot. Now, this is one in the Canadian Rockies, and it's that classic train shot, but you took it one step further than what everyone else does, and you created a long exposure out of this train photo, which I think is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's one that I can't wait to put on my wall, really. I've been saying it for a while. We were there at sunrise. I've been to Morant's Curve now probably 4 or 5 times, and each time I've been lucky enough to get the train. I got it a couple of weeks ago. We went twice and got the train both times, and didn't get the sky like I got on this one. But, it was really nice. And because I got the double decker on this with the colour, and that's what made the photo. It made it pop because of the green trees and just a blended in so
gorgeous
nicely.
Photo. And it's just like you have photo after photo that we've scraped from your website and from your Facebook feed that are just such stunners, including these rocks, these boulders that look like turtle eggs.
Yeah, it's another favorite that I want to get printed.
It's really a beautiful one. Is this New Zealand?
This is New Zealand, South Island. It's called Meraki Boulders, and it's just north of Dunedin. And it's a main place that most photographers go to when they go to New Zealand.
Yeah, just a beautiful one. And then now we've got the classic American Southwest, and it's Horseshoe Bend in Page, Arizona. This is one of my favorite locations, even though I've shot it so many times, but I just love going back there. It's just every time you go, you get something different.
Yes, yeah. And I actually positioned myself. There was a lot of people there, as you know. It's a very popular spot. And I made a dive for the corner when someone moved, and different ones asked me, "Oh, can you move?" I said, "No, I'm sorry, but I'm here from Australia and I'm here after a particular shot and I just want the whole shot balanced." Another friend of mine, she went further up, but she didn't get the balance like I got.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And that's what makes this composition just so incredible. The balance and symmetry of this is just...
And the colour was only there for a short time. I did take a big gamble in doing a long exposure to get this, because once I finished it, the colour was gone.
Yeah.
So...
and that's something that people don't really consider when you're taking long exposure or you're doing panorama photography. It's the amount of time that it takes to take the picture as the sun is setting in those final minutes. So you've got to make sure that you're doing everything right.
Yes, and I cannot afford to have noise reduction on my camera, because if I'm doing a 3-minute or a 5-minute exposure, I then got to wait another 3 or 5 minutes for the noise reduction. And people say, oh, but you have to have it. I said, well, it's never made much difference to my photo. And you know, I can lose the best shot of the day.
While you're waiting for the camera to process the photo.
Yeah. And now there's so many things you can do in editing with noise reduction and that sort of thing that it doesn't really matter anyway.
Yeah, exactly true. This photo that's on my screen now, you did not use long exposure for it, and I kind of enjoy seeing the texture of the water. Actually, it looks like it's maybe in the half-second range.
It is half-a-second shot.
Yeah, and so we see that texture that where the water is falling off the rocks there. Do you have a favorite go-to shutter speed when you're taking pictures of fast moving water like this?
It is a half-second.
Half-second is your go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the photographers will go for the longer, the 10-second, the 30-second. I just find that the water ends up looking mushy.
I did do a long exposure there, but I did prefer the half-a-second. Yeah.
To get that sense of
it
motion.
Made it look more natural than the long exposure. And because I didn't have really cloud in the sky, that's why I chose to go the half-second.
Right.
Yeah.
We've got another one now from Iceland. So this is an amazing photo. You've got the color in the sky. You've got streaking clouds. You've got that incredible set of mountains there. So tell us about this shot.
This is Vestrahorn, and it's probably one of my favourite places to shoot in Iceland. They're little black sand dunes. So I was actually standing on a higher sand dune when I shot that photo, and could watch the sky. So I sort of moved around a bit, and that was my end result. And I took the gamble to do the long exposure and it just sort of, the whole photo just seemed to be in balance. And it's another favourite of mine.
Yeah, really, really beautiful. I think we're just coming to the end here. I want to get to this one photo also from Iceland, and this is the Black Church. And you made the Black Church just so much more special because of these streaking clouds. And really, as I said in my intro today, you are known as the Cloud Whisperer.
Well, actually, that was someone from Prime, because I'm always known as the long exposure queen.
Yes.
But then I think it was Alicia that said, oh, you're the Cloud Whisperer. Yeah. So that's how that came about. Thanks, Alicia.
Yeah, just a beautiful photo. I love the simplicity of this, where there's one main subject, there's no clutter, there are no distractions in the background. We know what we're supposed to look at. It's clean, and you've really kind of brought order to the chaos with this composition. Just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's nice.
And here's another one. We are no longer in Iceland here. We're back to New Zealand.
Yes, the Church of the Good Shepherd. You see many photos of this, and I was looking for something different, which I try to do instead of copying other people. So I just saw these clumps of grass, and they seem silky and with a couple of rocks there. So I thought, I'd get down low and I'd shoot the church looking up towards the church with these clumps of grass in the foreground.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And we're back to New Zealand, and this is really a photographer's magnet, this location. It seems like anyone who is visiting New Zealand is going to go to this lake. And there was a rumor that the tree had been cut down, but you're telling me it's not cut down.
No, it was just the branch on the right. They completely, which used to be the hero of that tree, the main subject. But he was just sick of all the people coming, so he got a chainsaw and cut the branch off. But this was only last year, or maybe the year before now, when I took that at sunrise, and I was standing out in the water a little bit. It was just a beautiful morning, and it's the Wanaka tree, which everyone goes to when they visit New Zealand.
Yeah, gorgeous.
But be prepared if you go that you either wear gumboots, because there's hundreds of people that turn up.
You know, it really occurs to me that landscape photography not only has it become such a big part of your life, but it has changed your life. For people who are not real enthusiasts of landscape photography, would you have any advice for them? Like, why should someone take on landscape photography?
Oh, well, it just makes a big difference to your life, and just being out in nature and enjoying it and living the moment. And then you've got the memories that you capture to look back onto. Like I had my orthopedic surgeon say to me just recently, he said, Wendy, what are you going to do with AI? It's getting better and better. You know, you're not going to have a business anymore. I said, I'll always have a business because AI cannot replace what I take when I'm there in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, well said. I like that. I'm looking at a marina shot, and so many cities have marinas in them, either on a lake or on a river or on the ocean in protected waters, which means that you get a minimum of waves, which also means that you get reflections. This photo here is made so special by these streaking clouds. And it's just like again and again, I just see these photos that make me say, wow, these are absolutely incredible because of the streaking clouds.
Yep.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, that's only 20 minutes from my place, and it's my last minute go-to if I get up and I look at my app and I look outside and, there's lots of clouds. I'll check the app, get in the car, grab my gear, go down. It's only 20 minutes. And it was such a still morning that morning, so the boats weren't moving. The tide was high. So it was just
beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, this is our last photo. Looks like we're in Norway here. Lofoten. And this is a low resolution photo, and I apologize about some of your pictures being quite low resolution. We did scrape them off your website, but this one is a stunner. How did you get these northern lights?
Oh, we had a brilliant night that night, and it was just last year, and the lights were just brilliant. So it wasn't that long. My Northern Lights, I think it was only about a 15-second, maybe 20 seconds. It wasn't long. And it was just brilliant, just lit up the sky, reflecting in the water. Yeah.
Okay. So we're getting one last request from Jim to repeat the names of the apps that you use to determine whether or not the clouds are going to be high and wispy or if they're going to be low and dreadful.
Yeah, okay. One is a site called YR. The next one is Clear Outside. Other one is AccuWeather. And the other one is called Alpenglow. And Windy. Windy will show you the wind, the cloud, and it's live as well. But to look at the percentages for low, medium, and high, you will need to go to YR or you can go to Clear Outside. They're not always 100% accurate, but it's a good indication. And anything from 30% to up to 80%, medium and high cloud is great.
So we have a motto, a slogan that we live by in Photography Academy, and it is explore, create, inspire. And what it means is that when you take the time to go explore, and then when you get there after your exploration, you create your own fine art landscape photos, you will inspire yourself and you will inspire others. And Wendy, I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, you inspire all of us to get out there and explore more and create more. And you are really the person that we all want to become. It was someone who is passionate about landscape photography, who is creating jaw-dropping, breathtaking fine art landscape photos, and who is living the life that you've always wanted to live.
Yes, thank you.
Freedom in every way. So where can people find you if they want to get in touch and maybe talk about a workshop?
Yes, you can contact me by email. I haven't got any, I think there's only Japan for next year left up there, but that's me doing it with someone else. But I will be working on my new ones for 27, which I'll be doing on my own. I'm now doing workshops on my own without doing someone else. And or you can contact me through Facebook. I've got a Wendy Klein photography Facebook page, or Wendy Klein, just my everyday.
Where your website, wendyklein.photography
is my website, or Wendy Klein Photography on Facebook. I usually put my edited photos, and I sometimes put some wildlife photos on there. And then I'm also on Instagram, wendyklein.photography.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us inside Photography Academy Prime.
Thanks, Tim. It's been a privilege to be here.
Bye-bye, everybody.